red now. It's red.
So we good to go?
We're good to go. Welcome to the Broker Loaded Podcast, everybody. This is a podcast all about real estate. Real talk about real estate. Things that involve real estate. I'm a realtor. My name's Kurt Studley.
And my name's Dan Grimes. I'm a broker.
You're a broker. Yeah, I brought out the broker card.
I haven't done that for a while.
Our guest today is Micheline Masson. How are you?
Good, thank you.
You're
Thank
a
you for
stager.
having me.
You're a
Yes.
stager.
Yes.
That's what you do. What's the name of your company?
Property staged.
Property Staged.
Yes.
Property Staged.
Yes.
You've been doing this a long time, eh? Fairly long time.
13 years this summer, actually.
13 years?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's experience.
That's right.
Yeah,
Experience
it is.
counts.
It is. What got you into the business?
I was doing flips in construction. I was
Okay.
also a personal trainer on the side.
Yeah,
And
Kurt has one of those.
I do.
I actually really enjoyed the hands-on work, doing the construction and just seeing like visions coming to life. Unfortunately, I got really sick doing that because I kind of did way too much and burnt myself out.
Right.
So I was off work and I was looking for something to do. So I found this course and took it.
Yeah.
Did really good at it. Didn't really teach me a lot because I'm very visual. I've always been that way, good with colors and whatnot, and
Right.
seeing like I can see an end result before, like I can walk into a room and just be like, that goes there, this goes here. Yeah, it just started where
It
I
clicked
just,
for you, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never knew what I wanted to do growing up. I was that kid that was like, oh, everybody wanted to do this and that, and I was like, well, maybe. But now looking back, I say like, oh my God, this was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
You come across those things in your lifetime
Yeah,
where you're
it
like,
was awesome.
this is it.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Yeah,
absolutely
I didn't
love
have
it.
one
yeah.
of those
Yeah.
moments.
I'm hoping to have one.
Yeah.
I would. I may
At some
have
point,
to.
I'd really like to have one.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
A moment.
You want it to be a hockey player, I'm sure.
No, not
Golfer.
really. Yes.
Yes,
If
pro
I had my
golf.
time back, I would have
A golf.
concentrated on
Yeah.
the golf.
I like the golf range.
Yeah.
Just
I
Yeah.
would have.
I'm excited
spent
to
less-
get out this week. It's happening.
Have you not played around yet?
I have not. I've just hit balls at the driving range.
yeah.
He
but
did
I'm ready to
100
go.
rounds last year, so I'm
100,
a little
yeah.
surprised you haven't been out.
Yeah.
So,
So 13 years later, here you are with Property Staged.
on the Broker Loaded podcast.
Yeah. Imagine that, eh?
It's a whole
I've made
different
it.
level
I've
of
made
fame
it.
now.
I've made it.
Who'd have thought Micheline's career path would take her to this very podcast?
It's
Eh? You've reached the
well, it's the
pinnacle.
pinnacle. By far and away.
Where am I going to go now? I don't know.
That's it. Oprah.
Yeah. Oprah's next.
Is she
Is
still
she?
on?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't
She
think
might
she
do a
is.
podcast.
Yeah,
maybe.
she may,
Yeah,
she may appear on the Oprah Network from time to time. Who knows?
No doubt. She's making.
Micheline, there's a lot of people have used stagers in preparing their property for sale, but I think there's a little bit of misconception in the general public, at least, and maybe among realtors. Who
amongst
knows?
realtors as well.
Amongst realtors,
Yeah.
as to what actually a stager does or can do. Right, a lot of people. To me, when I think of what people think of a stager, it's like, oh my God, and they see it on TV. You and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
They see it on TV where they come in, they got a house to sell, they take everything out, clean out the place, and then bring in new stylish furniture and jazz it all up.
Yeah.
Right, and that is staging.
It is.
But
it's just not realistic.
It's not the common
No.
thing that happens with your business, right?
Exactly. So like I would say 90% of what I do is going in and using with what people have. So, everybody has the furniture that, mom passed down or somebody passed down or somebody donated or, it's not the perfect matched furniture that you
Right.
buy when you go into the store and everything's perfect.
Yeah.
I've been in houses where, yes, people do have some really nice things, but most of the time it's going in, using what people have, just moving things around and setting it up from a different perspective. And most times people are like, oh my God, why didn't we do this? Like, why didn't you come
Right.
into our house and do this when we
Yeah.
first moved in?
Right.
Because they have this perception of it's only for selling. And it's like, no, it's supposed to be functional. So when you walk
Yeah.
into a house, you should be able to enjoy it too.
That's a good point because I would never think of that. I only think it from a selling perspective. But if you're living in your house and you're really looking at it and you have no idea, or it just seems cluttered, or there's no flow to the house,
Yeah.
Bringing someone like you in makes sense because you can set up what they have properly.
Exactly. And I mean, like, we wouldn't go, and I do help people in that sense, but we don't go the far route of, like, you know, taking down some personal, like, I don't mind personal photos here and there.
Either do I.
No, me neither.
I've always
It's when there's the shrine where
Yeah.
there's like a big, like, everywhere, or the big, you know, the big grad photos. Those are the ones that I generally say people to take down.
Yeah.
But right?
the big bad photo.
I'm just thinking of mine with the feathered hair and the whole business.
Oh boy. Yeah. No, I've
Did
been
they
in
have
some
photos when you were in high school or
no sketches.
sketches?
Charcoal sketches. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like when you were in court that time.
They didn't even have Polaroid cameras.
But yeah, once in a while,
Yeah.
a well-placed personal photo that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? And it's all got to make sense, right? That's the key. Give me some idea of that process. So let's say you know, I'm getting ready to sell my home, and you come in. What happens? What happens with that initial meeting?
So basically what I like to do is get a tour of the house. So I always tell people I just need a quick tour of the house because my brain likes to take in everything. Because sometimes people will talk about things and they'll be like, so what about this? And I'm like, I'm not sure because I haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So let's just go through the house. Because some people will stress over certain things and it actually doesn't even end up mattering.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, let's just go through, see it first, and then we'll touch base. So I do a quick, not even 5-minute tour of the house.
Right.
Right.
And then my brain says, okay, what is the function of this? What is the function of that? How can we make this more better? Well, that piece up in the room over there can come down here. This is going to go there. Like, that's how my brain works.
Right.
And I often laugh at myself because I forget to take before pictures because I'm such a kid that I just start moving things.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh no, I forgot to take photos. And I'm like, do I put it back? And then no. But yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's funny, eh? That's
Yeah. It's fun though. I absolutely love what I do.
Right.
It's helping people and showing them that, you know, just small things can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's amazing. A lot of the homes I've gone into, like, people get used to living in their space, regardless of how dysfunctional it is.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when somebody like you goes into the house and then makes it more functional, either by removing a piece or just setting it up where I don't have to crawl over you to get to the fridge in the kitchen.
right.
Because one of the homes that I had
That would be just weird.
well, yeah, but I mean, well, I'm thinking of friends of mine actually who have a very busy household, and their family room has 2 full-size couches and 2 love seats and a sitting chair. You got to have a fairly large family room.
Yeah.
But they have 4 kids. They have the parents, the brothers and sisters over all the time. So it works for them.
Right.
But then when someone like you goes in and straightens all that dysfunctional out, it's amazed at
Yeah.
the comments.
Yeah.
They go, oh my God,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
it-
why didn't we do
why
this?
haven't
Yeah.
we been living like this
Yeah.
since we moved in?
Yeah.
Yeah, and having a different perspective, someone who knows what they're doing, but a different perspective.
Yeah.
Walking
Sometimes
in
it's
fresh.
it's just a little thing that'll
Yeah.
be moved or something, or they'll just see something, and yeah, it actually makes a huge difference.
Right,
So, and
right.
people love it. So
Now,
it's fun.
from a real estate perspective, when you're trying to sell your home, it's a great thing to do, no matter what's in the house. To be honest with
Yeah.
you, right? When you come in and have a look, you can immediately identify items that need to be changed and so on, and you can make the home as you know, functional and have flow and all that sort of thing as it can be for those pictures, for open houses, all that stuff, and get things going in the right direction for selling your home.
Yeah, for like, especially these days, like the photos,
Yeah.
the online photos are what gets people into the house. So I tell people,
100%.
like, we try to keep things as close to photos as possible. I try to be like, you know, we need certain things put away for photos. If you can do it for showing, yes, it's bonus. I understand, like, people need to live in their house, but I'm more picky in bathrooms. I'm like put away the shavers, put away this, make sure the things in the bathrooms are clean, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But yeah, you're allowed to live in your house.
Yeah, you're getting it photo ready. Like that's
Yeah.
part of your
Yeah,
mission,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the photographs these days are.
And we've
like
talked
Micheline
about
said,
this.
I
There's
mean,
still
it's-
realtors taking pictures with their iPhones. It just it baffles me. But they're doing it.
I know.
They're doing it.
I know.
Yeah, there's some really great photographers out there that do incredible work,
Yeah.
and get really nice photos. So, and I know how certain ones take photos, so
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, I'm setting this up because I know they're gonna like get this angle, or I know this angle, and so
And
Yeah.
a lot of the photography we see those kind of over the top, like airbrushing your photograph. You know, I've seen where the lighting's all been changed, the outdoor scenery has all been changed.
Yeah.
They can really go over the top. The good photographers capture the reality of the home when it's ready to be lived in and sold.
yeah, because
I
you
think.
want it to look like
Yeah.
that same house when you walk in,
Right.
For
because
sure.
if you start changing too much,
Well,
you're
I don't,
gonna
I don't know
yeah.
how many times I've heard this house looks different, way different in person than in the photographs.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Right, and part of that is sometimes they with the pictures things might appear bigger or smaller depending.
Yeah.
Right.
Wide angle lenses.
Yeah, it depends on what's being used and
Yeah.
how angles are shot and so on. But yeah, there's often times that we get that, wow, looks smaller, looks bigger, looks different,
Yeah.
right? So that can happen. So for the most part, are you are moving stuff around and physically changing the look of the place, but it doesn't mean that the home seller has to ship everything out of their house.
No, exactly. So I always say there's two kind of different ways that I approach things. So sometimes I go in where there's like, maybe they're doing photos that week, so it's a rush, or the house already looks pretty good. They've done some work, and I just have to go in and kind of do. Everybody calls it my magic touch. That's
Right.
what they call it. So
Right.
it's like
Put the
go in
finishing
and
touches on things.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where there's other cases where I go in and it's like, you know what? I think you need a little bit more time. So for me, paint is probably the number one thing people can invest in.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, you'll never lose from paint. And if I'm here, I'm going to pick a paint color for you, because sometimes people are like, oh, I'll just do white. And I'm like, no, don't just do white. Like,
no.
you have to make sure it goes with the space. It's warm, like it looks nice,
Yeah.
depending on what's needed. So yeah, sometimes I go around and I have to give people a big list, and I get called the bad guy. But I say, you know what? I'm helping you. Like, this is your biggest investment.
Well, you're helping
Without
them
a doubt.
maximize.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
what
So
they
if
can
I have
sell
to be
their
the
house
bad guy,
for.
I'm like, no problem.
Well, yeah.
I'll be the bad guy. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to help people.
Better you
so-
than us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. So it's like, my job is to make sure that the house looks good and you sell your house. So that's why the realtors hire me to go in
Right.
and help their clients.
That's common practice now too.
Yeah.
Is the
Yep, my
realtors,
services
people
are-
like us,
Yep.
Yeah.
are actually bringing in Micheline and people like Micheline as part of getting the listing ready to go. Right. It's-
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a brilliant move, because I don't know about you. Like, I can identify obviously clutter and so on and so forth. I don't know how to properly stage a home. Like that's outside of my knowledge.
I also find that your listings reflect you as well. Like,
Yeah.
you want to show that your clients that you care about your house. Their house.
Yeah.
And basically, in that sense of, like, it just portrays on you as well, so that you care about your clients, you care about their home and their investment as well. So I think it's like it's one of those things where it's the same thing with the photography.
Well, yeah.
Instead, like, yes, iPhones and stuff can take good photos, but there's nothing compared to somebody who's a professional and knows
No.
what they're
Exactly.
doing. Like, it's
I don't
just
care
like,
if they're
yeah.
using an iPhone or a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Professionals know what they're
Oh,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
I can't take a picture to save my life. And, I've even had some clients say to me, well, we need to refresh that picture. I'm just going to take a few with my iPhone. No, don't. Maybe of the backyard or something if you have summer pictures
Yeah.
and it's winter or whatever. But no, leave it
Yeah,
to the
if you're
professionals.
gonna invest in a professional stager, and want to also invest in,
Yeah.
like, the two go together, I find personally.
Yeah. And I guess my point is we're all working toward the same goal, and that's to have the seller maximize their profit on their home, what they can sell their home for, and have an enjoyable experience while that happens, right? And that's part of we work together. We have people come in to do any work that needs to be done. We have cleaners to come in and do all that. So
Exactly.
everybody's working together.
Exactly.
The
It's
photographer.
so important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
for sure.
photographer for sure. Once you've done your work, to have the right photographer come in and take professional pictures. It all comes together, and that's what we're all doing. That's what our main goal is.
Yeah,
We
the
all have
main
the
goal
same-
is to sell the house.
Yeah.
And have happy clients.
So have you ever had, or how often do you have pushback from a seller when you make a suggestion? Call it the difficult client. Or generally, do most of them listen and
most
take
of the
your...
time they listen, or sometimes I'll go through and they're like, just give me a list. And I'm like, it's like, I find I'm like, I love helping hands on.
Right.
Because I know like it's easier. Instead of just giving people a list and leaving, it's like, okay, you know what? Sometimes when you give a list, you'll be like, okay, you need to purchase this, you need to purchase that.
Right.
But if I'm there to helping, it's like, okay, sometimes we open a closet and I'm like, oh my God, I can totally use this. Like, you don't need to spend money. So that's why I try to help.
Right.
So sometimes I'll suggest something and they'll be like, I'm not sure about that. Because there was a lady, I staged her house. She was in her house 40 years. She did not want to move this chair.
Right.
It was her chair. She had her coffee in every morning. And I was like, it's just in the way. It's just not making sense there. So actually it's funny when you said down like in the basement where somebody was jumping over a couch, kind of like the scenario to get to something. Well, this little old lady had a couch and there were closets. So she jumped over the couch to access this. And I said, can I just rearrange this area for you? And you come back down. If you don't like it, I'll put it back.
Put it right back.
And no problem. She's like, you know what? Fine. Because she didn't want me moving stuff upstairs.
Right.
So I set it all up. She comes down and she's like, oh my God, like this makes sense.
Yeah.
She moved that chair upstairs herself.
Afterwards.
Yeah, because she wasn't moving that chair at first, but then when she saw what I did and the reason behind it, so that's what I do sometimes when I get a bit of pushback or somebody's like, you know what, I don't like that idea. I'll just be like, well, can I show you what I'm talking about? And then if you don't like it, we'll put it back. Or like even yesterday, I had somebody who really wanted this art piece up on the wall, and I was like, it's just not the right size. And if we took it down, there was a big hole. So I was like, well, I'm like, if it stays there, it has to come down. So I explained why. And then I took it down and put it at the height it should be. And she's like, oh, that looks so much better at that height. And I said, this is what I was talking about. I was trying to find a different piece that would fit the space better. And she's like, oh, well, we'll put it at that height. She's like, my husband has the paint. We can just touch it up. No problem. So it's just finding ways around. And some people are attached to certain things. And if they're really attached to it, I'm not going to push it. Like, it's like, but there's certain things that I do say, like, I think it's really important to do.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes it's,
If you're looking at a home in the valley and you walk in and it's an older couple in the valley, next time you walk in, look at the height that they've hung their pictures.
Yeah, I mean, that's, a centuries old debate, right? How high should the pictures be,
Well, they're pretty high in the valley. And I'm 6'3", and I've had to look up at a few of them.
That's fine.
Is there a general rule, Micheline, when it comes to where you should put your...
It's generally
your
about
artwork?
eye level, but I
Right.
mean, if you're for a little shorter or higher, I always say use the molding, so the trim around like the door frame.
Right.
Some people will match it to the door
Yeah.
frame, and I'm like, no, that's too high. So use that as your kind of your ceiling, and then come down.
Okay.
So that's what it's hard to say, like it depends on the piece and
That's a
whatnot.
good rule.
But
For the-
I always use that trim
a good
as
rule.
the
Yeah, and I would guess that there's a lot of times that you just run into the wrong size frame or the wrong size piece of work
Yeah.
or wrong size photo in the wrong space.
I staged at a lady's house. I was there in Cumberland for 5 hours. She was at work. She was a busy chef. She didn't have time to do anything. So she's like, the realtor just said, go in, do what you got to do. She came back home and she's like, where did that come from? I was like, it was in your living room. But just moving it around, she was
Right.
like, oh.
It's like a
and then
new
she's like,
piece.
oh, I have really nice stuff. So it was just seeing it from a different perspective and making sure the flow, it was organized. It made like the colors made sense, the furniture. And so it's just moving things around. And it was just pretty funny, like how she reacted.
Yeah, I bet.
She didn't even realize that was her stuff. She
Isn't that
thought like
funny?
maybe I brought stuff.
Where did that come from? That's some nice artwork.
Artwork. It's some artwork, because I've been doing this for so long, of course. I've seen some pretty strange things.
Well, yeah.
But we had to beg a client, the husband, to take down 75% of the artwork that he had in his house.
Yeah.
Because it was all boudoir photographs of his wife. we were walking through the home, and we had a good sense of humor about it.
Right.
But he didn't want to take anything down. And they were all like 24 by 36 inch,
Oh wow.
like
haven't
photographs
seen that
going
yet.
up, and the little, the French made stuff.
That's funny. You know what?
you
I
kidding
always
me?
joke. I used to say I thought I'd seen it all. I had to stop saying that because
No.
you think you've seen it all, and then you'll see stuff.
no.
Yeah,
And then
so-
you run into.
Been in a couple in Centertown too. That were great guys
Are
and
they unique
great
to
photographs.
Centertown, or- because it's in Centertown?
Well,
I don't know.
just the demographics, if you catch me.
Gotcha.
So really cool black and white photographs, that, usually in the bathroom.
Just not good things to put online.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No.
Would you say the biggest thing you run into is clutter and too much furniture when you roll into a place? Is that one of the common things that you find?
Yes and no, because sometimes I've been in places where people declutter too much. To the point where the house doesn't even feel like a home anymore.
Right.
So then, in a sense, that's good that they've cleared out and decluttered. But then I'm like, okay, so you've done a really great job, but now we need to bring things back in. Like put a little frame on the side, put a little plant or something, like some life back in the house, fresh fruit, flowers, just these little things that help make a house a home.
Right.
Because when you start taking everything off, and that's why sometimes I say, hiring a stager is good, because sometimes the realtors will just be like, clear off your whole counter, clear off this, clear off that, because they don't have the time to say, this piece isn't too bad or this isn't bad. Because I've even said it to sometimes to people where I'm just like, we got to move this. And they're like, what, you don't like it? And it's like, and I'm like, no, it's not that I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's just,
It doesn't have anything to do with liking it or not.
Exactly.
No,
So sometimes people take some things a little personally. Sometimes they're just joking. Sometimes they actually have like bets with the husband and wife or the girlfriend or whatever. And they're just like, oh yeah, she's totally moving this. Or you're like, they'll have bets. And they're like, see, I told you she'd move it or something like that. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it can be an enjoyable experience. There's
Yeah.
no question about it, especially the end result for a lot of people, I would guess.
And I'm very grateful to do what I love every day. It's so much fun. Like I get to help people, save them money, make them money. So it's fun. I love it.
Cool.
What about some strange things you've seen? Any?
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you want to go there.
Yeah, let's go there.
Come on, we want to hear that stuff. Like, I'm sure you've run across some things that you're just like,
Oh,
what can I do? What?
One of my first jobs, the lady was like, just put it in the side drawer. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't open that drawer. But I'm like, she told me to, because I don't normally open like side drawers or something like that.
Bedside tables are no. Don't
Yeah,
do it.
so don't open those.
I'm a little night. Cough drops?
Yeah, exactly.
Medications.
Medication?
The adult ones. not the kid brand
okay.
ones.
Personal items.
Personal items.
Personal items.
Right.
Okay, I've had a few of those left out in my day.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
some people like joke about stuff, which is pretty
Yeah.
funny. Like they're pretty open. Yeah, I get a bunch of different characters, and some people just joke it off, laugh it off, and yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well, that's it.
Right.
Sometimes they forget about things. They're like, "Whoops," you know.
Personal items in your personal space. Oopsie.
Oh, yeah, it's your house,
Right.
so that's
It's
it.
not
And-
like it's the 70s or 80s, though, so it's not a surprise to anybody, really.
And I'm not. I always tell people I'm not judging anybody. I'm here to help you. And
Yeah.
because sometimes they're like, feel free to judge away or do it. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm here for.
Do they try to explain like, oh, this is here because, it's a long story, but anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I've been in so many different places where I just get a mixture of things, but I'm not the type of person that's closed-minded. I'm not the type of person who's going to judge somebody.
Right.
Even if you have like a bunch of clutter, like I will roll up my sleeves and get to work.
Yeah.
Like I have no problem. Like I would rather help than just sit there and give you a list and leave.
It must make that the task even more efficient for you if you're hands on there, because you might place something and they go, okay, that's not exactly what I want, so I'll move this here and move that there so you can.
Yeah. And I'm pretty funny because sometimes I'll look at photos and I'll be like, okay, did they do what I said?
Right.
It's like, oh, that's
Right, if
okay,
you leave
great
it to
job.
them,
And
yeah.
I'll like, yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll check in on their work.
And then go back and
or
move
sometimes
everything.
they'll even send me photos and they're like, is this what you meant? Because I'm totally fine with that. I'm like, if you need extra help or you're not sure about something, just send me a photo and I'll help out.
Well,
Or
it's nice that they do that to you, because if you leave somebody with a list and they don't complete the list, or they only do 20%
it's
of it,
happened.
you know who they're blaming.
It's happened though, because
Yeah, of course
so
it
I
does.
do different packages, and one of the packages is I'll do a consultation. So it's up to 2 hours, leave them kind of their homework, and then I'll come back just before the photos.
Right.
And I've showed up on the day of the photos, and I'm like, our photos at 1:00, and they're like, yep. And I'm like, oh my god. And I'll just put up my hair and run around like a crazy person for like an hour, just
okay.
trying to
Right.
set things up, because it's like they weren't able to do what they can. And
Yeah, I think as a realtor and as a homeowner, I'd rather have you come in just before pictures.
yeah,
after,
most of the time it's included. Yeah.
Right,
But
just to
sometimes
make
people,
sure,
Yeah.
right?
And that's it. It's little things that you can, sometimes they miss, or when you're living in the house. And often if it's a rush listing, I'll do like an all-in-one where it's basically up to 3 hours long. Like sometimes I even do it the morning of.
of pictures.
Yeah, and then they'll do
Yep.
photos like that afternoon. So
Right.
I'll go in, because the realtor sees the house, right? So they know, and
Yeah.
they've worked with me for so long where they're like, oh, she'll have this done in no time, and then we'll be able to do photos in the afternoon.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So for those out there who don't want to hire you as a stager and they're putting their home up for sale, what are a few suggestions? Like I happen to I roll up a lot of area carpets when the photographer comes in, and then put them back down. Like out on Mont Blanc, the little condo I had. You never saw it, eh?
No, I did not.
No.
The issue about carpets
too
is
fast.
most time people think there's something hidden underneath. So that's what I tell people is like they're buying
That's
the
a good
house.
point.
So you don't want like
yeah.
sometimes it's to protect the floor from the they have dogs or something like that.
Yeah.
But when people come in, they're looking like, why are there like rugs on
Everywhere,
So
yeah.
and then sometimes they'll lift one and they'll at another house and they'll be like, oh, there's a cracked tile or something. So it's like in their mentality or in their mind, they're like, okay, so what else is wrong with this
Are
house,
they
or
trying to
what
hide
else are
something?
they
Yeah.
trying to hide?
Yeah.
So that's what I tell people. You never want to hide something. If you can't fix it or you can't deal with it, leave it.
Yeah, area like in a lot of townhomes out here, for instance, and we're in Riverside South, of course, the family homes with the southern exposure, they'll have a 10 by 12 foot carpet in the family room, and
The
at
layout.
the end of the day, the townhome might be 5 years old,
Right.
especially if it's bleached birch or a light colored birch.
Right.
When they remove the carpet,
Yeah.
Get the outline.
The
you
outlines
got the
there.
outline, and you can't get
Then
you're
you're
redoing
pooched.
the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, you're redoing the floor.
Or you lay down a 10 by 12 foot carpet that you didn't want.
Or
in the
you
first
fully
place.
carpeted,
Fully carpet.
Cover everything.
Wall to wall. It's coming back.
to the shag.
including the pets.
Oh, the shag. The shag carpet.
Bring it
Back
back.
to the shag.
Man.
Whenever anyone says shag carpet, it reminds me of when I moved to Calgary.
Yeah.
And housing was tight it was 1997. I moved to Calgary, and housing was tight. Like you couldn't find much. And I found this little apartment, and there was like 10 people in line ahead of me to get this apartment.
Oh my God.
Luckily, I had someone in Calgary who
Looking out for you.
talked their way in and got me this apartment. But it was beautiful. It had that mixed orange shag carpet.
Had it in my
and it had
basement.
the avocado appliances.
Oh,
Oh, it was a beauty.
nice.
Shag carpet.
Yeah. It was right out of the 70s. And it was a rental for, I rented it for 6 months when I landed in Calgary, and that was it.
That was your.
You'll still go into older areas in Ottawa and they'll have shag carpet in their basement, like Riverview Park, Alta Vista, kind of where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's still down there.
The shag.
Still down.
I had pink. There was pink shag in that bathroom. That one bathroom. It
Pink
was like,
shag.
whoa, in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Think of the things that would collect in a shag carpet over 40 years.
Right?
In a bath.
In
Water.
a bathroom?
No.
Shag.
I think people were thinking, tile is cold and then carpet is warm,
Yeah,
so
we
it's like
had-
comfortable.
Yeah, we had.
But then they didn't think about like
Carpet might get wet.
moldy and
Yeah.
that part of it.
Yeah,
I think they were
yeah.
thinking of the comfort aspect and forgot about the.
Oh, shag.
Yeah.
Oh, no, shag was never a good idea. Though area rugs, it's come back. Kind of.
Yeah.
That the area rug shag carpets. I don't think they call them shag, but they're very, very similar.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen those around. Yeah, they're
Yeah. Never in my house. No. Well,
shags.
think of the crumbs and the.
in your bachelor home here. Yeah, that could be nasty.
No, basements were used for a lot of reasons. Shag carpet. No, thank you. No, thanks. Not back in the 70s and 80s, buddy.
Listen, let's talk about, as we mentioned off the top, by the way, you're watching the Broker Loaded podcast. I'm Kurt Studley. That's Danny Grimes.
Yes.
Micheline Masson is a stager. Your company is, again?
Property Staged.
Property Staged.
Yeah. And her name and phone number, once again, are
right in front of it. They're magically
Throughout
there.
the
I can't
whole-
actually see them, but I know they're there.
I can't. Well, they'll be there soon. They'll be there soon.
So we talked a little bit at the beginning about the misconceptions about what staging actually is. And again, it's not the whole moving out all your stuff, moving in new stuff, taking pictures, blah, 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 although that happens. What can people expect from, if I have you over to my house for that 3 hour, that 3 hour period, what can I expect cost-wise? Because it's a big concern, because it can, if you're bringing in furniture, it can get costly. There's no question about it.
So for something like an all-in-one staging, you're looking around the $300 mark with
That's
taxes and stuff. Yeah. So
It's a bargain.
yeah, so you're
Yes.
around that. Yeah, so that. But if you're talking about bringing in furniture and that, that's a whole different level. You're talking about like more like $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, it gets into the
It depends.
thousands.
Yeah, because it depends on what you're staging,
Right.
what rooms. Generally, if you're staging a house for selling and it's vacant, I generally say focus on the main floor. Sometimes the bathrooms and the master, because
Right.
that's or primary bedroom.
Right.
So those are because staging the basement and doing all that, it's extra money that you don't need to invest in, unless you wanted to. But yeah, I wouldn't go that far for it.
But a consultation like you're talking about, a 3 hour all-in-one that you're talking about,
Yeah, and a consult. Yeah, so basically it's around $300.
Yeah.
Yeah, for something like that.
which is money well spent.
I think so.
Well,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
Because
to me.
I'm there to
I
help. and
I
yeah.
was expecting it to cost more.
Yeah,
Little
me too. Me
naive
too.
on the service.
Me too. And I think, again, the general perception is that staging is ultra expensive. Not necessarily so.
Only if you're getting into more like vacant staging and
Yeah.
get a
Yeah.
purchasing. But yeah, I always tell people the number one thing you can invest in is paint. If you can get a stager in, especially if you're even looking at not using a realtor. Like when I first started my
What?
business.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. But no, like seriously, when I first started my business, my goal was to
What
help
was
the
your
people, to help the people that weren't listing with a realtor because I saw them listing and I
What?
was like, why?
Oh, I know
Why
who
would
she's
you
talking.
do-
I know who she's talking about. 13 years, right down the alley, boy.
Yeah. So,
I know who you're talking
so I
about.
tried that route.
Never do that. Never. Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. So I wanted to help those people because I'm like, you're not getting, you're listing your house. And it wasn't.
But I bet you those
best.
people that were selling on their own or what we call mirror postings back in the day,
Yeah.
they're trying to save money to begin with.
Right.
So was it a challenge to get people who are trying to save money to begin with
Well, and that's
pay
it.
for the
It was-
service?
and that's what it's hard to get people to understand, especially back then. Like nobody really knew what staging was
No.
back then, so they were like, "What is this person like trying to?" And I'm like, "I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
This is what you got to do." I've had people list their house and it not sell with a realtor or whatever.
Right.
I'll go in, stage it with everything that they have, and it'll be sold no time. It's just literally getting that extra help. And I think the main reason is people see so many houses that they get
Yeah.
tired and they're like, if it's not even clean, like they don't even want to go in.
No.
At this point, it's like, no, like I've staged places where people they'll talk about the places they've seen and they're like, well, they clearly didn't hire a stager or didn't have somebody to help them. Like they talk about that.
Right.
Yeah, and there are homes that we walk into and right in the front hall,
Yeah.
the husband, wife, or the buyer will say, I don't want to go through here.
Yeah, and
this
that's
isn't
it.
for me.
Yeah.
And it may be the same model
And then everybody
as the
gets
one
mad.
that they, previously saw, but one was definitely staged
Yeah.
and prepared to go to market and
Right.
maximize the value.
Right.
And one clearly wasn't.
It's honestly showing that you care about your house
Exactly.
and taking
Yeah.
care of it. I mean,
And if I'm buying it,
yeah.
right, if I want to buy the house, that means something to me.
Yeah, and if you see it's not being taken care of, or if it's empty or whatever, people get this, well, maybe I can get a deal. But why would you like lose out on 30 grand just because your house isn't clean, or just because it's, you know, they're going to offer you less? Why take less? Like, this is your biggest investment. Like, for most people, the house is the biggest investment.
Yeah.
So why would you not
98% of
invest
people
$300? You know,
It's like bringing in cleaners.
Yeah.
Like I do it as a service to a lot of my clients. Like I
yeah,
give them
no,
the
it's
option.
so
do you want to
smart.
clean now, or do you want to clean when you move out? One or the other.
Yeah.
But cleaning it, having it professionally cleaned. First of all, it takes away a lot of stress off everybody because it's a big chore. Everybody
Well,
thinks
it's the
it's a big
deep clean.
chore.
It's not that, you know, it's
Yeah.
getting into those vents and around the light fixtures, taking them down, because sometimes you get the bugs and the little things. So it's all those extra. It's like, oh gosh, I have to do that.
Right.
It's like, yep.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looked at the bad guy. I got to tell you to do those things. But
How do you handle, because I've always said, I don't mind personal items. Like there's realtors and, you know, you watch TV and they say, take all the personal photographs down. And the ones that I referred to earlier
Yeah.
should be taken down. I don't want to see anybody's wife in a French maid outfit.
Where
Well,
are you
let me
going with
think
that?
about that for a second.
Depends on.
Yeah,
what
okay.
you're talking
depends
about.
on the day.
Dealing with kids' rooms, like it can be traumatic, and I went through it because when we were moving, we had a townhome out here, and my daughter was about 10, and we moved out here in November, so we kept her in the school in our old neighborhood, and then when we wanted to sell the townhome, it became critical for her not to move out of the neighborhood, but she also mentioned about her bedroom and, you know, what do I have to put away in my bedroom and everything. And I generally, I say, you know, I may be wrong. It can be emotional for kids at a certain age. Let them be kids in their
Yep.
own bedroom.
I'm the same way, actually.
Are you
Yep.
okay? Like, don't let them be kids in the basement where someone's going to go downstairs and step on a Lego and you're going to hear the screaming out on the street. But their own private space, within reason,
Yeah.
just let them be kids in their own private space.
Yeah, like I've heard somebody say like no eyes, so basically like no teddy bears and I'm like, if I was a kid
What?
and you told me to put away my teddy
No-
bears,
nothing
I
with
would
eyes?
hate you forever. Yeah, like they say basically it's I heard that saying one time, and I'm like,
What are you supposed to do with your Woody from Toy Story then?
well, that's it. But it's
Yeah.
this,
Right?
I think it's important for, you know, like you said, kids. If maybe it's a divorce, maybe something's happening, you know, they have to leave their friends.
Very good
It's
point.
very stressful on
Sure.
them.
Sure.
It's stressful on everybody in the family, especially if you don't want to move. So why, like that's their space. You know, they have things they love.
Why
to me,
invade
I
their
say,
space,
yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, sometimes it's a little overkill with the artwork hanging on the wall, or, you know, so, you know, maybe there's a few posters that we have to, but I always say, ask them. If they don't mind, then yes.
Yeah.
If they're really having a hard time with it, don't
Right.
make it a big deal.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's clean.
Yeah,
Because
but-
sometimes kids have like all the Legos on the floors, and
Sure.
you know, and that's what I say. It's just literally clean it up.
Yeah.
That room is not going to sell the house. What?
No,
that
it's not.
One
Buyers,
room.
no, buyers are looking at the size of the bedrooms. Once they're upstairs,
The side, but more important is the yard.
Yeah.
The kitchen, the bathrooms,
Right.
the other. There's more important layouts throughout the house. That's more important than
the
that
room,
kid's
traditional
bedroom.
kids room.
So
yeah. And if they're playing in their bedroom, great.
And same thing for paint. Sometimes, often people are like, okay, my kid really wanted this lime green, or they really love this blue. Do we have to paint it? I'm like, no, we don't. We don't have to.
No.
But
And
if you're
anybody
painting and there's
who's-
lots of holes and there's damage on the walls, then yes,
Fix
it should
those.
be painted.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand, and some people get all bent out of shape when they walk into a house. They don't like the paint color.
yeah.
It's just paint.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, is it for me? It's
Whether you-
always been like,
Whether
is
you
it
do
clean?
it yourself or you hire someone to do
Yeah.
it, it's just paint,
Yeah,
right? You can change any paint color you want.
$85 a gallon or 4.5 liters now. I
Yeah.
just bought a gallon, painted my
You
son's
paid
bedroom
$85
yesterday.
for.
Yeah, bear. I used a bear. I painted my way through school, so I really like the bear
Is it
all-in-one.
$85?
That's a
Hi.
plug for the bear all-in-one, by the way.
Oh, is that
The,
right?
I've
used
is
it
our
all.
podcast sponsored by Bear by chance? Not yet.
We
Not
take
yet.
their money.
We're not there yet. Maybe
Yeah.
after this one.
I was a Benjamin Moore guy
You're gonna get a lot of
forever.
free paint that nobody wants.
You give me that all in one.
So
and
you know
I'm-
how you were saying about paint?
Yes.
I find yes and no with the paint, because sometimes the wrong color, people think more work needs to be done than it's just. So for example, I staged a house where they were doing photos at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
The realtor said, "Can you just come in with me for an hour?" And I walked in and I'm like, oh gosh, this doesn't need just an hour. It needed more.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, if I said it was like the colors were like a Mexican fiesta, like the greens and the reds and the, like just the vibrant colors. Like it looks really
Sunshine
nice.
yellow.
Yeah, exactly. All those colors. So it was
Yeah.
a very vibrant house. But the issue people were having was that they thought they had to change out the tile. They thought they had to change out this
Okay.
because the colors were just so vibrant. It was hard
Yeah.
to picture it anything else.
Oh, okay.
So I actually told my sister, like, this is a house you need to buy, because I said, this is $4,000 worth of paint. And you don't have to change because I can see the colors in the tile. If the right color is chosen, it will highlight something different. So she painted and the place looked
She ended up
incredible.
buying it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she ended up buying it. And then like she sold it a couple of years ago, like in the COVID.
Right. In
And
the
they
big
made
bubble.
like
Yeah.
tons of money off that
Yeah,
place. And sometimes it's just getting another eye to see it in a different, because I'm very visual with colors, right? So I can see past that. Where somebody who, like you said, who comes in and says, oh, it's just paint. Well, if you're looking at that going, well, I don't like this tile. Well, you don't like the tile because the color on the wall isn't right.
Right.
But when you switch
Gotcha.
that color out, it'll change
changes
it.
the look.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and you have to be
Yeah,
able to
that's-
understand that, right?
exactly.
That's
And not
something I
everybody
would
can
not
do that. I
understand.
think not everybody has that
No,
vision.
not everybody, but I mean, like that, and that's where I say sometimes you just have to look past. Or I've even been hired to go with people to a place to look at it and go, what are your thoughts on this place?
Right.
Because
Really?
we're thinking of buying it. So
No
what kind
kidding.
of work? Oh yeah, I've done it a few times actually, where they were looking for advice because they were really interested in buying it and
That's a great
thought
idea.
like, what do
thought
I
of
need to
that.
do?
No.
And
Bring Micheline along, and right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
She'll give us a price.
I tell you what, we're quickly running out of time here.
Yeah.
But this has been really informative, because I think there is a misconception out there and amongst a lot of people about actually what stagers can do and what they actually do, and you know what situations you can use a stager in outside of just selling your house.
Yep.
There's much more to it than that. How about you, Danny? I'm interested in your reaction, because Danny, let's be honest, Danny was a non-stager kind of guy.
I was a non-believer.
He was a non-believer up
I've
until
changed some of those.
right up until I started explaining a few things.
He
That, well,
did.
let's have a stager on our podcast and
He
find
did.
out more.
I
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
I thought it could be. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Actually, she sold me on the tile and the paint, because I did
Right.
a true fact. I painted my whole way through, like, oh boy, college and
Yeah.
on after that. So I understand paint. I've gone into many homes where I've gone, this tile is hideous.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really the tile. It could be, like you say, pick
Yeah.
something
The
out.
surroundings, right?
And the
And-
tile is a big thing for people because
yeah.
that's a lot of money to change.
That's a lot-
So
that's
if
a
it's
lot of
just
work.
like, paint and it
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
fix it the right tone.
Yeah. So no, and I also had the misconception, and I think a lot of realtors do, that it's expensive. It's just
Right.
another cost. But really, the cost to a seller is the fee that they get charged. But you don't pay that fee until you sell the home and the deal closes.
Yeah.
I mean, a buyer today would never think of buying a home without an inspection, and inspections are $500 to $600.
right.
Okay. To potentially discover a big capital cost or outlay, but to spend $300 or $400 or $500 to have a stager come in, where the difference could be legitimately 5 to 10% of the price.
Sure.
I've
Like
seen higher quotes on what that, but even at 5 or 10, say 10%, to get an extra $60,000 or $70,000 on the average price of a townhome,
for spending $300 to $500, that's
and
pretty
using
good.
your own
and
furniture.
even like I said, even getting your own asking price, like
Right.
get what you want for
Yeah.
your house. And that's the thing. If you want to get what you want, just make sure, these things are done, or, so there's always different ways people can do it. They have different budgets, whatever.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to invest any money
even,
and do stuff.
even from a a functionality perspective and a look perspective, if you're thinking about selling your home, or selling it as down the road a piece, to get you to come in and improve the situation as it exists.
Oh, for sure.
Even that.
I've had people where they're like, we don't want to sell anymore. Like,
I
there's
hear.
been people where they
Yeah.
couldn't set up their furniture. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but they literally are like, oh no, like we can't set
Yeah.
up our furniture.
You-
and then I'm there 2 minutes and I set it up and they're like, are you kidding me?
Well,
Like,
we in
could have
fact
just did.
we lived in a townhome right behind here,
Yeah.
and we did everything and we got it all ready. And we looked at one another and just went, I don't, like, why are we moving? I had finished the basement.
You finally do all the work. And
Yeah.
then you're
Well,
like,
there was, we had two
Yeah.
kids, but it was the functionality, the layout of it. We just wanted a little bit bigger. So that's why we ended up here. But you often hear that comment.
yeah.
Yeah. Why are we moving?
Listen, if you want to get in touch with Micheline and set up a consultation or whatever,
Yeah.
her information is on the screen. Property Staged is the name of your
Yes.
company. Been around a long time, and some great, valuable information today.
Well, and even if you're
I'm
not
just glad
selling
you
your
got
home.
him on the right side.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm sold. But even if you're not
Yeah.
selling your home,
Right.
to have Micheline come in and just kind of advise you on different, where I see the few stagers that I know? I see them at places like HomeSense quite often, like
Sure.
3 or 4 times a year I'll be in. Sure enough, they're in with somebody, and maybe they're looking for that $100 big piece of artwork because they're putting their home on the market and they have to fill a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Micheline, thanks for your time. Thanks for
Oh,
coming
my
by.
pleasure. Thank you
Thanks
for
a
having
lot.
Here in
And once
beautiful
again,
Riverside
all your
South.
contact information is on the lower screen.
Right.
Somewhere there.
You can reach us here at the Broker Loaded Podcast. We have an email address, the Broker Loaded Podcast at gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page.
Have a Facebook page,
What
have
else
the
we got?
YouTube channel,
We got a YouTube channel.
and we're
We're on all the platforms.
Spotify, baby.
We're on all the
my favorite.
podcast
Yeah,
platforms.
we are.
So listen, if you've got a question, email us. Get in touch. But we're going to keep having great guests on, like Michelle.
Yeah, we are. And if anybody
funny.
has suggestions for
Yeah.
guests,
Feel free.
fire us an email or text us. We're always looking for ideas.
Thanks for joining us on the Broker Loaded Podcast. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Beautiful.
Well, that was splendid.
That was awesome.